As per UNESCO estimates, the number of students enrolled in universities and colleges abroad is supposed to touch 8 million by 2020. Today on Heads Up, we're looking at various aspects of studying abroad. Scholarships, how to choose a college and country of your choice. But first up, Dinesh Kapoor, a Cambridge College alumni. He will talk about his experiences and will take us through his journey.
Hi, my name is Dinesh Kapoor and I'm a recent graduate from the University of Cambridge, where I studied an MPhil in Engineering for Sustainable Development. I've been working with a Member of Parliament for the past 6 months, and just seeing how governance structures work in India, I've learned so much more, and I can apply some of the stuff that I've learned in my course to real life now that I have this practical sort of internship kind of experience working with the Member of Parliament. I was fortunate to win the Jubilee Scholarship in 2012, and that allowed me to take up my studies without any financial considerations or constraints. I went to the University of Cambridge because the opportunity to walk in the footsteps of some of the greatest thinkers in human history, Isaac Newton, Professor Amartya Sen, Sylvia Plath, Niels Bohr, Charles Babbage, so on and so forth, was just too difficult to pass up on. My experience was truly international, because in my class of 47 students, there were 26 different nationalities. So the experience of interacting with students from all over the world was unique. We also had a fun time. We would have international dinners where I would eat food from Chile, from Nigeria, from Australia, and from the US. So we pretty much covered all parts of the globe. Would I recommend studying in the UK? I certainly would, because the United Kingdom has a lot of interesting culture, art and sports and several other things to offer. I also took the opportunity to be a little creative with my research. So my dissertation was on understanding the strategic motivation for football clubs to take up corporate sustainability. And I was fortunate enough to make connections with people at Arsenal, Aston Villa and Forest Green Rovers. I must mention that securing the scholarship took a lot of hard work. It came at the cost of a lot of fun and frolic, but it doesn't always have to be that way. I missed out on a lot of opportunities to spend time with friends because I was focused on what I was doing. Make sure your academic scores are above a certain standard. You don't have to be the topper in the class, but if you do well in academics and you show that you have a well-rounded personality by doing well in sports or any other extracurriculars, there's an opportunity that this well-rounded persona will be respected and appreciated, and you might get an admission into some of the best colleges in the UK, and you might even get a scholarship. It's important to start early. It's important to plan well, because it does come at a huge financial cost, and it's important to pace yourself to understand that there are different avenues for securing funding, and it's important to do your research, and it's important to plan well in advance.
Dinesh claims his experience was full of learning and truly global. We hope your turns out to be the same. Up next, more on who are the people that you should speak to and how to initiate the process.
Harvard, Princeton, Stanford, Yale, Oxford, LSE. A few of the world's top colleges and universities. Students from all over the world harbor dreams of studying at one of these. And for that dream, they are ready to step out not just of their comfort zones, but their respective countries.
Students can go from India to study A-levels at school level, or they can go and take further education colleges, taking national diploma level or national vocational qualifications. But the majority of Indians go and are taking postgraduate courses, but undergraduate courses are also open as well, and of course research and PhD courses as well. So the whole range from school right through to PhD courses are open for Indian students.
While the number of students that go abroad keeps fluctuating, mostly because of the economic factors like financial slowdown, devaluing rupee, and changes in immigration policies in the top educational destinations, the number of students going abroad is still huge. What reasons compel students to opt for college abroad?
Number one, I think the greatness of the GDP growth in this country. So people have incomes. Second is web-based information. Third is already there are n number of students who are studying abroad. Okay. due to which others are becoming excited of looking at these opportunities of securing admissions abroad. So I think these are three most important reasons, but there are other reasons also. You know, some of the students want quality education, some of the students can afford quality education, some of the students want outcomes which are global, some of the students, because of today's globalization, are looking at the fact that, you know, there is a cultural integration, and the expanse of that cultural integration, the quality of education, the research facilities that are offered over there are some of the reasons why one would look at international education.
Flying across 7 seas for higher education could lead to expansion of personal horizons while opening up a world of professional opportunities. Although it should be fun, it's also a serious undertaking that will challenge students on a personal level and have an impact on their academics.
I think it's all about employability. Indian students who study in the UK get world-class qualifications from world-class institutions, and the employers around the world recognise these. So you're really opening doors for their employability chances, but also they are having a great cultural experience and creating networks of people from around the world on their courses, which hopefully will help their careers too. So for me, it's all about employability and helping Indians get jobs when they've come back from the UK from studying.
But where does it start? The entire process of applying abroad is a little tricky. So once you have found a college and a course for yourself, where do you go for further help?
Post counseling, once this is decided, becomes consulting. So we then select the right fit, the right program at the right cost in the right country for the student to have that desired outcome. Now that is consulting. And in consulting, what happens, most of the schools have their very fine criteria that they require for a student to possess to be able to admit them in the school. So consulting goes down to the depth of a school level application, advising the student what to write, how to write, which documents to get into place, and when to apply.
A new perspective on life after living away from family and friends for years. Perhaps even the realization that you alone are the captain of your ship. A renewed appreciation for home, and of course a degree at the end of it all. If any of it makes you scream a silent yes, Chet Set Go. With camera person Jiten Bhutani, this is Abhishek Singh for NDTV.
My friends are there, and I believe that I can fit into United Kingdom better than any other place.
New Zealand, Canada and UK.
Well, I'm looking for Canada because, Canada has PR, and probably, I've got relatives over there. So it'll be like fun, like meeting all my old cousins, having a get together.
I'm actually looking at Canada and New Zealand because these are like economical.
Looking at United Kingdom because as a girl I feel it's a more safer place for people and it's got more opportunities.
Study in an average college in India and an average college outside. The exposure is more in an outside college. So I want to go abroad.
Before there are more opportunities outside, you get to explore more, you get to know the work culture over there.
Plenty of opportunities you can get over there. The kind of exposure that you can get in these countries, I am pretty sure that I cannot get in India. That's the reason.
My course is mass communication. It's all about, the exposure. So, from my point of view, and, I feel, if I go abroad, I'll get more exposure.
Given my past experience, I think the quality of education abroad is much better in comparison to India. And number two, I think the courses there cater to your individual needs.
It will give me exposure, and it will tell me how to maintain myself.
Since 2006, on an average, close to 2 lakh students leave India for foreign shores for studies. Now, different students prefer foreign universities over Indian for different reasons. Today on Heads Up, we have an eclectic bunch of students who are with Mahesh because of the fact that they have a few questions which they want answered.
I've gone to UCLA for electrical engineering. It's a 4-year course. So after undergrad, do you think it makes more sense to come back to India and get a job, or to do a postgrad then only straight after that?
It depends upon what you want to do at the end of your life. What is the career you're interested in? Because if you're doing a master's, then it makes sense for you to go the full hog and look at a career which is research based, which has a lot of innovation component attached to it. But let's say you want to have a generic career, then it makes sense for you to start working after the bachelor's itself. Because once you do a master's, the kind of companies which will recruit you are limited. A good MNC would look at you, an IBM's research lab would look at you, but an Infosys may not. They don't need that kind of qualifications in the first place. So it depends upon what is the kind of career you're looking at. If you're looking at a serious high-tech research oriented career, then it makes sense for you to do a master's and if necessary do a PhD as well.
I've applied for undergraduate program in business management in various countries such as United Kingdom, Singapore and Dubai. However, the question I have in mind is that where should I finally be for my undergraduation? For example, should I go to UK for the exposure or should I stay and look at DU at one of the top colleges in DU?
See, when you do a BBA, invariably you would go for a master's. A BBA is a semi-professional course, so you don't start a career at the end of it. So if you're going to do that, it makes sense for you to do it in India. You would save at least about 50-60 lakhs.
I've applied for a 4-year course in Tel Aviv, Israel for electrical engineering. My question was, I cleared my JEE mains and I can actually apply for colleges for engineering in India. So should I stay in India or go to Israel?
Between a good college in India and a good college in Tel Aviv, for example, you go to Hebrew University. There's a huge difference in the way they teach engineering. So unless and at the score which you're talking about, the top tier colleges are ruled out for you, which means even at JEE mains you wouldn't get to a NIT Warangal, NIT Surathkal, all those are out. You'll probably look at Hamirpur or maybe Orissa, which may not be as exciting as Tel Aviv. So to that extent, if you can afford it, you should stick to Tel Aviv and get an education there, because the domain in which you're interested in, they are much more advanced than what we are as a university and as a country as well. So opportunities for further academic or professional development is pretty high. And with the changed environment here, Israel and India is intentionally will have a lot more to collaborate in the coming years. And opportunities to that extent will be much more in the coming years, at least for the next 5 years. So you're going at the right time. You should go.
Since I've done my English and English honours from Delhi University, what are the courses that I should be looking at if I have to go abroad and stay back and not come back to India?
See, if it is media that interests you and you have experience in that, you have 3 major possibilities, which are the conventional print, you have electronic and you have online. And these guys now, there's a lot of convergence between the 3 mediums also. People move from one medium to another. So what you need to look at is, what is that aspect of media which excites you? Is it production? Is it anchoring? Is it research? Is it news? What? Now, once you've understood that aspect of your interest domain, where does your interest lie, then the good thing about a foreign university is that you have courses which are tailored to that. You have very specialized courses like Masters in Sports Journalism, Masters in Medical Journalism, Masters in Convergence Journalism. So there are opportunity for you to take up concentrations which can be tailored to what you want.
Hope that answered a few of your questions as well. Next up, tips on writing a flawless SOP or statement of purpose.
No waffling, don't go off on a tangent, keep it very simple, very straightforward. Highlight any interesting work experience, any internships that the students may have taken, any extracurricular activities, if they're involved in a sports club, if they do voluntary work, that's also key for an SOP. But also, don't write pages and pages of information. 2 pages is enough to give an overall profile of the student, I think.
Studying abroad is a costly proposition. Financial assistance in the form of scholarship can prove to be the difference between students who get to go out and students who have to stay back because of financial constraints. My colleague Lakshmi joins us from Bangalore with more on scholarships and things to keep in mind while applying abroad.
Going abroad is a dream for most students, and Joseph Benny is no different. Having graduated from the Vellore Institute of Technology, Joseph was an average student at college, but that hasn't stopped him from setting his sights on getting into a foreign university.
I was planning to do Masters MS in Control Systems, and I wanted to preferably study in Netherlands.
But there is one hurdle that stops him from going forward with his dream.
I'm not too sure whether I'll be able to fund my education, even though even if I get an admit, and the cost comes to around 40 lakhs.
And Joseph is not the only one. Be it a recession or a bad job market, there is no change in the number of students going overseas. While there were 85,000 students who had chosen to study abroad in 2005, more than 2.9 lakh students did so in 2013. With college education abroad getting more and more expensive, all of them look for one thing: getting a scholarship.
I'm looking at scholarship because I want to help my dad and because of funds and everything. I don't want to just, force him that pay this much.
I've got pretty, good scholarship reviews, because my percentage has been good, so, I can totally apply for scholarship.
Students who wish to study abroad can avail scholarships from $1,000 to $1 million US. But how easy is it to land one? Experts say that only a handful of students looking to go abroad actually land a scholarship. And this is not because they did not try, but because they did not know any better.
There are plenty of scholarships available for Indian students. I would say annually there are around 13,000 or more totally. There are three types of scholarships. You have the merit or the talent-based scholarships. Then you have the need-based scholarships, and finally trust-based scholarships.
The falling rupee also has done nothing to ease expenses for students. The currency fluctuation has meant that students now have to shell out 15 to 20% more on everything, including fees, education loans, and living expenditure.
So the sentiment in the market at present is very positive, but whenever there is a depreciation in the rupee value, we definitely see a decrease in the amount of applications we receive. The students and the families, the liability for them actually increases a lot. Wherever there is a 10% increase in the value of rupee, or wherever there is a dollar and rupee depreciation is 10%, the liability also increases with the 10% for the students and the family.
Well, clearly scholarships are the way to go if you want some easy funding. And if the only reason you're not applying for one is because you lack good grades, well, I have some good news for you. There are over 5,000 scholarships just for undergraduate students going abroad, and that for postgraduate students is even more. Scholarships that students can apply to include merit-based scholarships for the best academic performance, prestigious scholarships given on national and international levels like the Gates Millennium Scholarships, and even talent acquisition funding like athletic and performance arts scholarships. Wondering how a college benefits from offering these partial and full fee waivers?
Students who are very talented, they would look at students who they think would move into higher study and get into research or do PhD degrees. Such kind of students would contribute to the research rating as well as the ranking of the university.
The experts at Scholarship Database Univariety say that a very few common mistakes cost students funding. One of them is a lack of knowledge of the number of scholarships that are available.
If they have an intention to apply for a scholarship, they must specify that right from the beginning, but they must create a focus, not showing that financial requirement is there, but they must create a focus to highlight their performance potential.
Some of the most common scholarships being availed by students in India include those offered by the INLAC Foundation, the Commonwealth and the Fulbright scholarships. Here are some quick tips to help you with your application for funding. Apply for every scholarship there is. If you apply for 100, you will have a chance of qualifying for 10. Start early. Some of these scholarship processes take a long time, and the earlier applicants have an edge over the others. Go for smaller scholarships. Multiple awards of even just $4,000 may help cover half your tuition fee. And finally, make sure you look for scholarships offline. Some of the best funding you can receive is never advertised online, like what companies give for employees' children and also what sporting associations give for deserving sports candidates. In Bangalore, Lakshmi Shivdas, NDTV.
First thing is to do lots of research and to really pick a university and a course that suits your interests.
Ranking at the university, I think, because if they're going to spend all that time in another country and invest their hard-earned money, then they need to come out with a very good degree.
Cost, do your parents have the comfort zone level to bear the cost? Has got to be the first one. I don't advise any student to put unnecessary financial burden on their parents.
Think about your career. how is this course going to support your career goals?
And I think the fifth one would be employability, because at the end, when you spent all that time studying, you want to be sure that you can get a good job at the end of it, and that's why your future career.